It's Subscriber Appreciation Week here at the Fantasy Football Consultants, and we're going to break down the Thanksgiving slate on DraftKings, and it's all coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lee.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants.
All right. Welcome to Subscriber Appreciation Week. This is all about you guys. We have 5 shows this week, and we have 2 contests that are starting up. Let's remind all those people who qualify for the DraftKings contest and remind you, be sure to get those usernames into us so we can invite you to the contest, which starts this week on the main slate for week 12.
And all you new viewers or those who've been with us and just haven't done so yet, please hit the red subscribe button. It really helps us out.
All right, let's go into the DraftKings studio and break down the Thanksgiving slate. All right, we are on the Thanksgiving slate, and there are just 3 games to break down this week. They are the highest scoring game is Dallas and Vegas. That's 54.5 total points with Dallas a 7-point favorite. The middle scoring game is in a dome, New Orleans at home against Buffalo, who's a 4.5-point favorite. The over-under is 47.5. And the other dome game, Detroit, is at home against Chicago. It's only 44.5 total points scored. So obviously one game we want to attack as much as we can is that Dallas-Vegas game, Michael.
Yeah, that's right. So let's start at the running back spot like we usually like to do. Right there at the top, and not surprising because of who he's playing against and because of the other options, is Zeke. And I think that's the place to start. Yeah, he was out briefly in this game today. They didn't know whether he was injured or not, but he came back. And I think the Cowboys, to get right, need to put the ball on the ground. And the way to go against the Raiders clearly is to go with your guy on the ground. And so that's Zeke. What do you think?
Yeah, 31 implied total, home favorite. He checks all the boxes that we want. Plus, I really think the Cowboys are going to rely heavily on him with Amari Cooper, absolutely out, and CeeDee Lamb, who's in concussion protocol, likely out because this is a short week. So, and even if he does play, traditionally guys coming off concussions are more used as a decoy. So, yeah, sign me up with Zeke Elliott. I know he's expensive, but I think he's worth it. So who are going to pair with Zeke as we look at the different options? I'm going to opt for David Montgomery, who I think is going to be in a really good game script here against Detroit. It's screaming at you with the the Detroit Lions being 30th against running backs. Chicago is favored in this game, 3 points. Don't have to worry about weather. It's going to be in a dome. And if you're wondering, gee, I wonder how David Montgomery would do against a defense that struggles against the run. You see that 31st. You don't have to guess. It happened earlier this year where they played Detroit, and he had a huge game, 106 yards with 2 TDs. Montgomery is a guy that you don't want to see the Bears fall way behind because it could potentially leave the game, but I don't see that happening here against Detroit.
Yeah, the only knock on Montgomery is he doesn't get that involved in the passing game. But, you know, at $2,000 less than Zeke compared to the other options, I think not only does he have a nice floor, but he's got a lot of upside. So, yeah, to me, this is a great pick.
All right. So at wide receiver, Michael, this is one of the picks I'm most excited about when I see him on the mains on the slate at this price. And when you're looking at wide receiver, you can go with Diggs, who's way overpriced in my opinion. CeeDee Lamb, who won't play or is coming off a concussion. Cooper, who won't play. So boom, already $2,000 cheaper than Diggs. Otherwise, the most expensive guy is Michael Gallup, and that's who I want. I warned you guys. I said we need to get exposure to this Dallas-Vegas game. There's a 31 implied total that Dallas has. No offense to your Raiders, Michael, but I think I think Dallas is going to get right after they're struggling this past week and put some points on the board. And Gallup's going to be the number one wide receiver, given their other injuries. They forced the ball to him 10 times in a game in which they couldn't do anything. I think he'll get much better results this coming week.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really look to see Dallas be a little more balanced than they were, and so I think that's going to prove well for Zeke and the running game. But in the passing game, and as much as I'd like to think that the Raiders can take advantage of the loss of these other wide receivers, I think it's Gallup who's going to be rewarded. Cedric, you could think Cedric Wilson is an option, but he's really not that much. He just doesn't have the same experience with Dak Prescott. So let's save some money. Let's go for our next wide receiver. So, you look at Diggs there, obviously the most expensive guy and rightly so, but he's going up against Marshawn Lattimore of New Orleans, and Marshawn has done a very good job shutting down the top wide receivers in the league. And so what do you do when you're worrying about, a shutdown situation? Well, you got to go with the number 2 guy. And for me, that's Emmanuel Sanders, who gives you some of the upside because of his speed. And as you mentioned on the other show, this is a bit of a revenge game because of his experience in New Orleans. So I like Emmanuel Sanders, especially at $4,800. That's pretty surprisingly low price tag, don't you think, Eric?
Yeah, it's $3,100 cheaper than Stephon Diggs. Remember, New Orleans is a team that does a lot better against the run than the pass. So, and of course, the Bills pass much better than they run. So this is all set up for Sanders to at least return the value on this low price.
Now, I think we need to, for this last receiver position, we got to pick again on this Dallas Las Vegas game, like you continue to mention, because of its high over under. And if Dallas gets ahead, which could very well happen there at home, that means the Raiders are going to have to be throwing the ball. And Hunter Renfrow is the guy who I really like, not only for a pretty high floor in a PPR game like DraftKings is, but also important around the end zone. And the Raiders need to put the ball in the end zone this week. And Hunter Renfrow is a go-to guy for Derek Carr. I've
really seen Hunter Renfrow step up ever since the whole Ruggs issue passed and he left the team. So I see him, at least of the wide receivers. I'm not going to say he's a bigger target necessarily than Darren Waller, but of the wide receivers, I feel like he's the number 1 wide receiver. And given that at $5,600 and a real high and a shootout, I believe, I like it. All right, so let's talk a little bit about tight end. So let's give us an advisory. We can only spend $5,000 on average. So Michael, we got to be a little bit more diligent. We went wacky crazy at running back. So do you have a tight end which we can save a little money on?
Yeah, so I mean, we just talked about Ruggs and the impact that's had. I think that's really hurt the Raiders and Darren Waller, because Darren Waller has to deal with more bracketing because of the speed issue that the Raiders have. He's probably the fastest pass catcher on the team, and so I just don't think he has the same floor as some of these other guys, and he's a lot more expensive. And so we talked earlier today about how TJ Hawkinson perhaps has a higher floor, or as high a floor as Darren Waller, and he's $1,200 less. He hasn't really, shined the last couple of weeks, especially against that Pittsburgh game. But look what he's done in, prior weeks 6, 7, and 8, and early in the season as well. He's a very athletic tight end. Chicago is decent against the pass. But I think TJ Hawkinson is going to get involved.
The reality is the Detroit Lions don't have many weapons at the wide receivers. So Hawkinson is a guy that, among all tight ends, always runs a ton of routes. and he gets his fair share of targets. So we've got an if-then for you here at the flex position. So this is another possibility that I am super excited about. If and only if I almost said Amari Kamara, Alvin Kamara. I'm not used to filming on a Sunday night, Michael.
I'm there with you.
Yeah. Alvin Kamara, if he is indeed out again, remember this is a short week, but he was kind of a game time decision. So he almost played last week. But if he's out again on Thanksgiving Day, then dial me up at 6,200, Mark Ingram. This guy is, because the Saints are just, they don't have a whole lot of offensive weapons, Michael. So if Kamara is out, he is going to get the lion's share of the carries. He'll get involved in the passing game because he has to get involved in the passing game. They just don't have many weapons. Remember, Michael Thomas is out for the year. And he's going to get goal line work if they can get the ball really close to the goal line. The only person that competes with him would be if Taysom Hill comes in the game. But at $6,200, if Kamara is out, I like this pick for a great floor.
Yeah, I mean, look what he did even in this Philadelphia game. They were behind most of the game. He got a lot of targets against both Philadelphia and Tennessee. I see that happening again here, also because the Buffalo defense is particularly strong against wideouts. So I think Mark Ingram gets in a PPR game, is going to get those touches out of the backfield.
Since Kamara has been out these last 2 weeks, Ingram's got 20 touches and 22 touches. You can't beat that. And by the way, Buffalo defense just gave up 5 touchdowns to Jonathan Taylor and 160 some odd yards. So could they possibly be beaten on the ground? Yeah, they could. All right. But what happens? Just want to briefly say, well, what happens if Alvin Kamara does play? Then we're not as excited about him. But let's dial up your boy on Las Vegas, Josh Jacobs, at $5,900, $300 cheaper. Again, I feel like a broken record, but more exposure to this super high scoring game. And Jacobs has really become, I mean, the knock on him, Michael, a while ago in his career is all he can do is run the ball. He cannot get involved in the passing game. He basically goes out. They actually had, I'm forgetting his name, but in prior years, a third down back that would come in the game. But you watch these games. What's happened in the last 3 games? 7 targets, 5 targets, 4 targets, 3 targets. And these are easy targets. So he's converting them to receptions.
Yeah. And I mean, don't forget, Josh Jacobs was a wide receiver at Alabama. He's got great hands, drafted early because of his athletic ability. So to me, the Raiders absolutely need to get Josh Jacobs involved more, both in the passing game and on the running game, if they want to get back into the win column.
What's going on with Kenyon Drake there? What's his role on this team?
Well, to some extent, he had been that third down back. They're splitting carries a little bit. The Raiders don't know what they want to be right now. I mean, they had a decent start, and then, the whole coaching situation has created a little bit of a disastrous, scenario there. So it's frustrating as a fan. Let me tell you, a couple of bad losses the last couple of weeks.
All right. I know you're probably done talking about the Raiders. Unfortunately, we need to talk quarterback.
Yeah, so let's look at what we got option-wise. We've already talked about how this Raider game is perhaps the game to pick on. And with Josh Allen at $7,800 going up against a strong New Orleans defensive backfield, and kind of scaring me the last couple of weeks how he's played. And Dak Prescott, $6,900 without, his best top talent at the wide receiver spot. I think Derek Carr looks like a bargain, and look at the price of the guys underneath him, and they don't have very good upside. So, I would have preferred not to have to go with the Raiders so much this week. But I guess it's my one chance because there's only three games. I think Derek Carr by far is the best choice at $5,900 to make sure we have enough money to have a defense.
Yeah. Look, I may differ with you a little bit. We didn't talk a lot about it, but I like Josh Allen. I think with his rushing upside, I think in New Orleans, I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball at all. So I think they're going to be relying heavily on Josh Allen. I just can't stomach the $2,000 that he is more than Derek Carr. So if it was like 1,500, I might be able to try to make that work. But so if major value opens up, maybe somewhere, maybe we could pivot. But besides that, I personally think about Carr. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I look at the pricing that we have here. I mean, I don't know where we could really get value. You know, if we go with Josh Allen, we basically have to take Zeke Elliott off of our list here. And you know, because of the differential in price, because look what we got left on the defensive side.
Yeah, okay, let's take a peek of that. All right, we only got 2,400. If there's good news, we got two choices. We've got the Raiders and the Lions. So Michael, let's have a discussion about it. I am going to argue against your team because we've just been talking about how high scoring that particular game is. And I'd rather face the defense that's going up against Andy Dalton, quite frankly. And so let's take a look at the Lions. Believe it or not, the Lions defense has not been, you know, awful.
From a fantasy perspective.
Yeah, you know, let's take a peek. Last 2 weeks, you know, they've been able to keep Cleveland and Pittsburgh, two struggling quarterbacks, but in check. And those are both better quarterbacks to me than Andy Dalton.
Yeah, no, this is a no-brainer, I think, right here. I mean, you got Detroit at home, you got the Raiders on the road against an angry Dallas Cowboys team. So I think that the safer bet is to go with the Lions.
And Michael, we just talked about that, you know, preference is so volatile in defense that, look, do you really want to go up and spend that amount of money to get the Cowboys, for example, which is the most expensive defense, or the Bills? I actually kind of like the Bears more. So if we had $600, you know, yeah, but it would be at the cost of dropping down on one of these players. And I just don't want to do that for a defense.
Agreed.
Quick reminder, everybody, we did the same thing for FanDuel. So check out our Thanksgiving slate. It has been published. We want to take this time to thank all of you guys and wish you a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Also on the screen is the 3 keys for success when playing NFL DFS. Check it out.